and thank you for joining us for a new edition. I'm Nadia Sharbi, and this week we're putting the focus on fashion, a subject that has become synonymous with France. Of course, it's a global and multifaceted industry, but French flair never appears to go out of style. That's because Paris has established itself as a capital of fashion, but also because the French have their very own way of doing things, including during that all-important moment, Fashion Week.
Fashion Week is the week when the world's biggest designers parade their latest collections down the runway. Everybody knows that. But wait, it is not that simple. Because there are numerous fashion weeks throughout the year. For men, for women, there is a fall-winter collection and a spring-summer one. Ready to wear is held in September and March. Haute couture in January and July. And this is where France is an exception. Today, only 13 designers are licensed to practice haute couture, and the rules are strict. For example, all work must be done entirely by hand in dedicated workshops in-house. So Paris is a special case with 6 fashion weeks throughout the year. Beyond Paris, similar events take place all over the world, some 500 runway shows in all. 4 are must-see, the big 4, and they always play out in the same order. It all starts in New York, followed by London, then Milan, and finally, Paris. Throughout, young designers rub shoulders with industry giants and fashion elite to determine just who will set the tone for the year to come.
I'm totally embroidered with this floral decor of little glass stones, beads.
Well, who better to talk to us about French fashion than a designer who started his career at such illustrious labels as Nina Ricci, Yves Saint Laurent and Dior. Alexis Mabie, hello, thank you for being with us. Now, you come from Lyon but now work in Paris. When we talk about French style and French fashion, is that what we're talking about, Parisian style?
We can speak about Paris, but it's more like the result of all the fashion elements who are in the country. I mean, like artisans, embroiderers, people who do lace, suppliers, who all work on the collections to make it happen.
And style, is it a Parisian style or is it a French style?
Well, for me, it's very difficult to say, but all the international journalists say I have a very French style. But of course, I'm French, so sometimes I don't really feel what is French in my in my own style. It's more about like frivolity, sport chic, the mix in between like the men's vibes, but turn in a frivole style.
And a lot of French fashion houses have now taken on international designers as their creative directors. Can we still talk about a French savoir-faire when there's such an international influence now?
Of course, because you know all those houses are based in Paris, and they have atelier in Paris, and all the craftsmanship and more for haute couture are done in the city. So it's really like a savoir-faire about the girls who are sewing in the atelier, those artisans who are like masters in what they do. So yes, it's French work, even if you have like a German or Italian or American designer.
And haute couture is a French exception. Are there other things that set the French fashion industry apart from, say, its American or Italian equivalents?
I think there is equivalent, but there is a focus of French haute couture. Is that they were the first to start like developing this business, which was very modern in the 19th century with Charles-Frédéric Worth, and who was the first real designer, because before, girls were going to an atelier or in little salon to discuss with sewing girls to do dresses. But you didn't get really this kind of art direction to create trends. So haute couture started like this, and it was developed in Paris during many years and centuries before getting the ready-to-wear in what we know of today.
And one of the great dames of French fashion, Sonia Rykiel, passed away recently. Her daughter, Natalie, has taken over the label quite a few years ago already. Are there very few now French houses, fashion houses, that are family-run like that?
Of course, but it depends, because you know now you have the family, of course, like you have few family houses, but every time it's family with behind business partners. So it's not the same as when they started, for example, at Riquel, because they started tiny with the mother and the sister and the husband, etc. It's the same for us. We started like 3 of us and we developed the company.
And Riquel's signature obviously was the stripes. Yours is the bow tie. When you chose it as your label's logo, bow ties had gone out of fashion here in France. It's now a hipster's must-have. Is that mission accomplished?
Yeah, no, it's fun because it was not really a choice at the beginning. It was really the idea to focus on something unisex. And I really wanted to recreate something appealing around the bow tie, which was very old-fashioned at this time. And I turned it in a new way with like colors, shapes, etc. And we get a crazy success with that.
Alexis Mavie, thank you very much for having spoken to us.
Thank you.
Now, every season, getting a collection catwalk ready is a challenge for any designer. And the devil is in the detail, not just in the clothes, but also backstage. Take a look.
Things are heating up backstage. With just hours to go before the catwalk is unveiled, models, makeup artists and hairdressers alike are buzzing like flies.
It's crazy busy, but managed shows are always fun. There are so many different styles, so much diversity. It's one of the most creative shows in Paris.
Your hair needs to be changed, no?
Born and raised in Mumbai and now based in New Delhi, Manish Arora is the man behind the curtain. He founded his fashion house almost 20 years ago.
Are you okay?
Nice fluffy.
As he prepares to launch his Spring-Summer 17 collection, last-minute touches are being added to the outlandish outfits as the running order is finalised. Nothing is being left to chance. Lighting and sound crews are making sure everything will run smoothly when the show begins. And they're just a small piece of the puzzle.
A catwalk is not just about the 30 models appearing on it. You've got dozens more people working together on this one event. They each play their own part in making sure the show is under control and on time.
And what would a catwalk show be without the backdrop? The set design plays just as big a role as the clothes that sashay down the runway. Antonio Martins is based just south of the fashion capital, where he works for the biggest names out there.
Here at One Events, we construct lots of different sets for all sorts of designers. This is the workshop.
Antonio is responsible for designing a third of the catwalk shows at Fashion Week. With 70% of business generated, it's the most profitable time of year, but also the most stressful. He has to bend to the client's every needs.
For one show, we'd just finished the set. The designer turned up and said he'd been watching a TV show and that he wanted to recreate it for the runway. We had 1 day and 1 night to redo everything.
The clothes are on their hangers and the backdrop's ready. For the designers hoping to make a bold fashion statement, there's also the show's invitation to consider. In the age of the Evite, it might be surprising to hear the old-fashioned paper invite is still coveted by industry insiders. And Nicolas Ouchner is the go-to calligrapher for an ever-expanding list of clients.
Right now, I'm writing the addresses of the people who are invited to the Lacoste show. They're collaborating with Jean-Paul Goude, so we decided to use Jean-Paul Goude's handwriting for the invitations. It's the same calligraphy that Galeries Lafayette uses. And then we'll send out the invitations to everyone on the list.
Back to the catwalk, and Manish Arora's show is about to begin. Months of hard work boil down to 10 short but sweet minutes. The quirky, colourful clothes are an instant hit. They say a story exists behind every collection, and behind every runway success is a team breathing life into that very story.
Well, under the influence of social media, the industry has had to adapt to the rise of the fashion bloggers. Nowadays, Fashion Week fever is as much about the catwalk as it is about street style. And I'm joined now by one such influencer. Kenza Sadoun El Glaoui, hello, thank you for being with us.
Merci.
Now, you set up your blog, La Revue de Kenza, in 2008. Can you tell us a bit about how you first started in this industry?
It was a complete fluke. My mum is in fashion, but blogging is just something I started tinkering with on my computer in my bedroom as a journalism student. Most of my posts were related to fashion, so my hobby became a full-time job.
And how much influence do you think bloggers have on the fashion industry today?
I think they have a real influence. Look at how many of us get invited to the shows. And we're given the same quote-unquote privileges as journalists. So I guess you could say that we've really been taken into the fold, but that respect is something we earned, because it certainly didn't start out that way. Our online following gives us exposure, and as a result, we're really in demand.
And did French designers immediately embrace fashion bloggers, or did they resist a little bit?
Oh, it wasn't easy. It took 2 years before I started making any money from the blog, and the industry had a lot of preconceptions about bloggers back then. There weren't many brands that took us seriously. It took time for us to build up credibility and influence. To be honest, we were seen as slackers, wannabe journalists, and let's face it, we're not journalists. It's a completely different way of working. But we've come a long way since then.
And you've worked as a journalist. Do you also have, do you think, an influence on the way fashion journalism is conducted?
Well, yes, I suppose we have. In fact, at the moment, the lines are sort of blurred. Journalists actually call on bloggers to use their pages as a platform for their publication. For instance, I've been contacted by fashion magazines to do editorials, edit pages, or for collaborations. But blogging per se is a very different approach. It's far more personal. I speak in the first person, I take centre stage, and I talk about my own experiences. So my followers get to see quite a bit of my private life, and it merges with my professional life. It's a very different process.
And you travel a lot. Does being French give you a sort of fashion credibility?
I don't think so, no. But foreigners really love Paris.
Kenza, thank you very much for having spoken to us. And with that, we're leaving this edition of France in Focus. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to France 24.